You all remember the big banks video, right? Of course you do. For a lot of you, it was the first video you saw when you found this channel. And in that video, I showed you how the big banks, the people who actually move price up and down, do almost nothing but fade dumb money. If dumb money goes one way, big banks go the other way. And I showed you something called the IG Client Sentiment Index to prove my point. And prove my point it did, because the IG Client Sentiment Index does a great job of showing you where dumb money is going and how the banks simply go the opposite way. Now, when a lot of you saw this, you thought, wow, if I can just find a way to harness this information, I can always have some idea of where the dumb money is heading, and then just like the big banks, I too can go the opposite way. And then I'll just make a bunch of money over and over again. But here's the bad news. If you sit there and try to follow dumb money and predict where it's going, you become the dumb money. You missed the point. If I had a nickel for every question I got on Ask VP about sentiment, I would have like $25. But that's a lot of questions. And most of the time my answer is, hey, look, I know this is going to bum you out, but just don't even bother chasing sentiment. If you can just eliminate that from your trading, you're going to be better off. But this subject does deserve a closer look, and you're about to find out why. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over why you shouldn't chase sentiment. I can sit here and say it all day, but I'm going to explain to you why. And then there's some additional resources out there for those of you who really want to dig deep on it. A lot of you are much smarter than I am, and if you might be able to find a way that I didn't find. But I really drilled down on this back in the day, and I just didn't come up with anything good. But if you're interested and you want to know more, this is the video for you. Now, there is one way I do use it. It is once in a blue moon. I can't even sit here and say I recommend it because I think at the end of the day, you're just better off without it. But I will show you the one way I do use it. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this is what I'm talking about. It is the IG Client Sentiment Index, and it has gotten much smaller since I made the big banks video, which sucks. But there are some ways around this. I'm going to show you towards the end here. So what it is you just click on whatever you want to look at. Let's just go here. And then we go down. And what you can see is this line here is dumb money, where the retail traders as a whole are heading, where their money ends up going. So they were very short the dollar yen at this point, and they all decided to go long. And as soon as that happened, price went short. You can't really tell a whole lot when it's choppy, like it is here, but when they all decide to make one big move one way, it's very obvious what happens. Like right here, they went from somewhat long to very short, and as soon as that happened, price went up. And most recently, they went from very short to very long in a very quick amount of time, and price, as you see it, dropped hard. This is how it works. This is undisputed. Whenever dumb money decides to all go one way, price will always go the other way. This is free money for the banks. And good ways to read this happen down here. Whenever you see the two lines actually cross, if you catch it right, a lot of times you can pick up on that move kind of early. Like right here, for example. See the cross right here? And you see you've been right on that line. Yeah, you could have caught this big move right here if you'd have been on top of it. And so this is what excites people. And rather than actually put a technical system together and test it to see if it works, they just want to look at this and just fade the dumb money. Who would want to do that? But there are clear, very clear problems with trading this way. So let's talk about those. First off, from the beginning, depending on where you got your Forex education, I showed you in episode 2 of the podcast where I got mine. And even there, it will tell you, more times than not, that pretty much the 3 pillars of Forex trading are technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and sentiment. So right off the bat, they got 2 out of 3 wrong. As I've showed you already, technical analysis is pretty much all you need. But they were right to a point about sentiment. It actually is important. It is what moves price, because it is how the big banks react to all the dumb retail traders. So it is actually the key driver in the price of any particular currency pair. But really the biggest problem and the fatal flaw of even bothering trying to figure out where sentiment is going is there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. And understand this, traders, at the end of the day, it's not where the dumb money is. It is where the dumb money is about to go. And if you want to sit there and try to predict the whims of millions and millions of Forex traders around the world, good luck with that. In order to be really successful here, you're going to have to figure this out on a day-by-day basis. And that is extremely hard to do. You're chasing something that we have no control over. And what's really good about really drilling down into technical analysis is, above anything, we actually have some degree of control over what we're doing. This is why I think Forex trading is superior to stock trading. We have no control over predicting where millions of traders are going to go on any given day, on any currency pair. We have no control over the news that affects the currency market we trade. But instead of trying to zero in on these things, we can take a step back. We can zoom out and put together a system that we know works over time. And by doing this, we can control the probability of winning over time. But we can't do that if we're continually trying to chase things that we have no control over. So again, understand there is no good way to chase sentiment. Those indicators are super laggy. They showed you where traders have already gone, which means nothing to us. And this is where the people who put out these indicators make a huge mistake. They say, well, the majority of traders are long right now, so our bias is to go short. That's dumb. That's dumb and very short-sighted. I want to know where traders are going to end up tomorrow, because I know once they do that, then the banks are going to take price the other way. But the problem is we just don't know where the masses are going to go. We don't know where the dumb money's headed. And there's no way we can predict where millions of people are going to go. And a lot of times news will get in the way of all this, so it doesn't even give us a good reading. And now we're dealing with two things we can't control. So not only are we trying to predict things that we can't control, we're way too zoomed into what's going on. Why do I have you spend all that time looking for technical indicators, drilling down on money management and trade psychology so you can actually put something together that can work for you over time so we can avoid all this? Trying to follow all this stuff can be fun and thrilling, but it doesn't make you money in the long run. You will thank me over time. And now remember too, the whole point of that Big Banks video wasn't to show you these indicators that you can try to use to predict where price is going. You guys totally missed the point. The point of the Big Banks video was this. You need to create a system which keeps you off the bank's radars by avoiding those areas on a chart that are open to the most amount of bank manipulation. Where are those points on a chart? Where most traders are trading. When I say most traders, I mean dumb money. Don't hang out where the popular kids hang out, because those are the points where banks manipulate the price the most. And you have no idea if they're going to go long or short. You have no idea if they're going to go reversal or breakout. But what you do know is on those areas on a chart, you have far less control than you have otherwise. And your trading system, your algorithm, needs to do a really good job of keeping you away from these areas. And just by simply not using the tools that everybody else uses, and by not trading reversals, which we've already shown you shouldn't do, you're already going to stay off their radar for the most part. But that was the main point of that video, because before you saw that video, you were probably dumb money. And there's no way I can teach you a better system until I get you out of that pool first. Now, I went back and watched that Big Banks video before I shot this one, and I did make this point very clear. But I think along the way, a lot of you got hearts in your eyes when you saw those indicators and kind of veered off course. But like I said before, if you want to drill deeper into the sentiment game, there are ways to do this. Now, we've been over the IG Client Sentiment Index. There's still a lot of ways you can go with that. But before there was the IG Client Sentiment Index, there was something called the SSI indicator. This was a proprietary indicator from FXCM, which is a company who used to be in America, and now they are not. They used to have a good presence on MT4, and now they really don't. So it's kind of a bummer, but this is still around, and it can still be very useful, and it gives you a lot more charts than the IG Client Sentiment Index does. Now here's the site. I will link this down below. Unfortunately, I can't really show you any of it, especially because right here, apps from fxcmapps.com are no longer available for US customers. Now, they have actual apps that show sentiment that you can put on your chart. Now, I also know they have their own proprietary trading software that is done in a different code. It's .lua, not .mql4. So if you're good at transposing indicators from one language into another, you might still be able to use this. If any of you can do that, let me know. Send it to me on AskVP, and if you can find a way to make some of these free apps from Lua language into MQL4, send it to me, and I will provide a link and pin it up to the top of the comments thread of this video. A lot of you guys have come up with some really cool indicators already. So if you can do that, I'm sure the community would greatly thank you. But in the meantime, there is one thing you can do instead, no matter where you are in the world. You can go to Twitter and follow these people right here, FXCM Market Data. Now, what this will do is provide you a window into the actual SSI indicator, even if you don't have access to it. So if we scroll down a bit, I kind of ignore this, that's not very helpful, but if you see something like this, so pound yen, which doesn't even exist on IG Client Sentiment Index, does exist here. And it's really good, this Twitter feed is really good at not showing you charts that don't really have much going on. This one does. And this is one of those cases I'm going to talk about in a bit, to where you have some extremes going on right now. At least since well before October, dumb money has never been this long or this less short on the pound yen. So what does that tell you? It tells you there might be a chance that sentiment is about to reverse, because we have reached critical mass in many ways. Now, here's a problem with that. If you go down to this one of the Aussie yen, you could have said that yesterday. Look how high dumb money was long. And if you went long right here trying to catch that reversal, you got hurt pretty bad. So you have to be really careful with this, because like I said, it's really great in hindsight, as this thing always is. But if you're trying to use it to predict price, you just have to understand that your probability is lower than it would be if you actually had a system in place that was telling you where to go. Because you are trying to predict the whims and the sentiment of millions of traders around the world. Good luck with that. But just know that this is a good way to kind of peek into this indicator that many of us will not have access to. Either because we are American or we just don't want to sign up for a service of a broker that we're not even a part of. Whatever the case is, this is a good other way out. Now, there is one way that I use this. It's very seldom, and I don't even recommend you do this. I'm just going to point this out if you want to dig into this down the road. But every once in a great while, what I will do is, if sentiment is at crazy extremes in a pair that I am currently trading, I will exit. I'll just close up everything right away. I just did this not long ago, and I won't spend too much time on it here. I will outline it on the blog for this episode, and I will link that blog post down below if you want to see what I did, why I did it, and why I didn't do it on a different currency pair, even though the extremes were even further apart. I mean, this is some pretty advanced stuff, probably too advanced for most of you who are just trying to put a system together right now. This isn't me saying I'm way up here and you're way down there. I'm just saying there's a reason why I don't go too far down the rabbit hole with some of this stuff. Because in the end, I don't want you chasing sentiment at all. But if you want to see one way that I do use some of this information to trade once in a blue moon, I will put it in the blog. But even when this does happen, it just does not happen very often. So it's not even a really great tip. But if you want to know more, I'll put it in the blog and I'll link it below. So the takeaways that you may want to take from this video if you do want to drill down deeper into sentiment, a lot of it can be found on Twitter. So here is who you want to follow. I will put links down below on these too, just to make it easy so you can just click on it. But who you want to follow is at DailyFX Team. This is going to be IG Client Sentiment Index, and they will post updates on that. Like we said before, at FXCM_market data, this is the SSI. You're going to get more examples on more currency pairs. You just have to be careful how you read it. And if you want to follow my bitch ass on Twitter, this is how you do it. I put this at the bottom of every podcast episode on YouTube. You can just follow me. I'm a pretty cool Twitter follow. I don't tweet super often, but when I do, it's alerting you that there is a podcast episode or video or blog coming up. I will sometimes comment on the market every once in a while when there is a need to, and most of the time I'm just retweeting the absolute assassins that I follow. It's mostly mindset stuff coming out of my Twitter, but really good stuff. And a lot of quotes and tweets that in a lot of ways directly apply to what we do here. So I'm going to link all these below, and after you're done with this video, you can go down there and check them out if you like. But in conclusion, just don't chase sentiment. I know a lot of you guys want to. I know it's really exciting. But what's more exciting is making money. And the best way to make money is to not chase sentiment. But if you must and you think you can find a way that I did not find, use the resources I gave you. It's a really, really good place to start. Especially if you guys can find an indicator that you can put on your chart that you can measure up against your other indicators and see how that works. That is something that I never really did well or spent a whole lot of time on. So if there is any openings in terms of using sentiment to actually predict price, that is probably your best bet. But for most of you, just focus on your system. Guys, I've given you a lot to do. For those of you who are finding this video and this channel for the first time, you're a trooper for going through this whole video, especially because a lot of the stuff we've talked about is stuff that you've never seen before. But what I've done for most of the people who follow is given them an actual structure to follow and given them some indicators and some pieces of the puzzle to go search out. And this takes a lot of time. So if you have any spare time, that is the number one thing you should be doing. But if you are just finding this channel for the first time and you like it, follow me, subscribe, hit the bell. Have you ever seen a video like this before? No, you haven't, because it doesn't exist. I am talking about things that nobody online is talking about, and I am showing you things that nobody is showing you. In a very short amount of time, I have reversed the fortunes of many, many Forex traders around the world. If you need proof, just look at the comments section of any of the videos that are here. And for the rest of you, I have lots of really good material coming up just in this month alone. But none of it involves opening up any other pieces of the algorithm because you guys have your work cut out for you. Perfecting a system like this takes some work. So go put in that work. Let's all go get it.